It's Monday, and that can only mean one thing after 6:15. It's me, Scotty, that's Motty. Manchester United haven't turned up for work this week. That doesn't mean that me and thee are going to call in sick.
No, we don't do that, do we? We're here every week, regularly, most weeks.
Most weeks. 2 weeks out of 4, we are definitely here.
Exactly.
Most Mondays, which, do you ever hear about Monday Club?
Yeah, I was always a part of the Monday Club.
Do you want to explain what the Monday Club
It's ringing in sick on Monday, innit? Because you're still out your head from the weekend before. So, for about the first, I don't know, 10 years of my life, that was a pretty regular.
10 years of your working life?
Yeah, my working life. Sorry, not 10 years of my life. I wasn't ringing in sick at school, at nursery.
I'm not coming in school today.
Yeah, because I've been 11 out my head on Calpol.
Yeah.
But yeah, for like 10 years of my working life, Monday Club was a big thing for me. And also, I had a job that I didn't really like as well. Yeah. And I was out my head every weekend. So that combination was perfect for Monday Club. What about you? You did Monday Club together, didn't we? Didn't we used to do Monday Club together?
Yeah, all the time. The thing is, we used to start work at 12 o'clock. So
we used to, and also, you could get away with just going in levered still, couldn't you?
Yes, I think I was probably at that job more times levered than I was sober.
Yeah, I
agree.
The
2 years that we worked there.
We got away with murders there, didn't we?
Yeah, but before we start talking about football and this new era that Jay's going to tell me that is beginning at Old Trafford, if you're watching, please make sure you're subscribing if you haven't done already. And make sure you're liking the video as well. We're over 10,000 now. So thank you everybody that has supported the show. 3 years now? 3 years has it been doing?
It's coming up to 4 years, isn't it? We started in like 2020, I think.
That feels like a long time ago, though.
It's mad that it was. Well, yeah, it does, doesn't it? And it was such a. I was in my old house there. We were doing it on StreamYard. Obviously, it was just a lockdown excuse. Because I remember you sent me a text saying, you know what, you should do a channel. And I was like, I'll tell you what I'll do whenever you do it with me. And I was like, I'll start.
And you've regretted it ever since. And you're going to regret it now because we're going to start a new feature called, what's it called, producer Alexa?
So it's called Scotty Survey.
I've just put a link just before we get into that into our Patreon as well. On the Patreon, we do like sneak preview stuff, and I've started putting extra content on there as well. I'm going to be doing a lot more extra content on there for people that support the channel. We appreciate you because we've gone from like doing it on StreamYard to doing it where we're doing it in the studio and stuff like that. So yeah, appreciate the support. Sorry, brother.
You just basically took the whiskey. Can we do that again?
It's Scotty Survey.
I shall expand on what that is. So every week I'm going to give Jay a dilemma that he's got until the end of the show to come up with. So I'm going to offer a question to you and you've got to tell me which one you choose. You ready?
Yeah, I know what a fucking survey is.
It's a football.
Like, talking to me like I'm
somebody went to grammar school. Yeah. Right, okay, so if you can get involved at home, I think producer Alexei is going to choose the poll.
If you can understand the complexities of this concept, you know what I mean? He asks a question, you've got to find an answer to.
The question isn't, do you know what a survey means? Right, if you had to get rid of one out of these three, which one would it be? Football?
Yeah.
Music?
Yeah.
Or sex? And you've got till the end of the show to decide which one would you drop from your entire life.
See, that's deep, right? That's harsh, man.
Music, football, or sex? You've got to lose one of them.
That is so harsh because now I'm going to watch football and now I'm going to listen to music. So I've got a tough choice here. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's 50-50 basically, isn't it? What am I going to do? I don't know. I've got to see the end of the show to decide. Right. Between those two options you've given me. All right. I'll give it a go. Get involved in the comments in the chat as well. A lot of people already here. Good to see the usual suspects: Santa Notch, Robert Taylor, Robs Murphy, Lee New says our survey says Mick Holohan as well. All good to see you. Make sure you are hitting that like button to people. What do you want to chat about, my brother?
Apparently a new era is beginning because we've signed a big chief from Man City who's coming over to the dark side of Old Trafford.
It feels like he's gone from the dark side to the...
I meant literally it's quite grim around.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's weird, isn't it, with these appointments and these people because it's one of them where, you know, I never heard of this guy a few days ago and now it's like, okay, I've not heard about him, but it sounds like someone you could potentially get excited about, but then can you get excited about someone you didn't know who he was a week ago?
You can.
Where's you stand on this?
I stand on it is that he's a football person and he's worked at a massively successful football club for the last 10 years, regardless of how that's been attained, such said success, 115. But he's been there and oversaw the sort of how a football club should be run. Compare that to his predecessors, it can only be a good thing that he knows what the spherical object is on the pitch at Old Trafford. That he knows ball.
Yeah, he knows ball, as the kids say, which, to be honest with you, like, is a step up from the likes of Ed Woodward, who was an investment banker and was made the most important person at the club. He was. You could say the manager's the most important person, but Ed Woodward literally hired and fired the manager.
Yeah.
So, by definition, he was sort of certainly had more responsibility than anyone at the club. And then you had the influence of Joel and Avram, which is like asking, a duck and a rabbit to give you an opinion on what United should do, because neither of them two had a clue about football. Daddy gave them the club, and then they helped to almost run it into the ground. So yeah, it does kind of make sense. I feel with the whole Ratcliffe era, Ineos era, whatever you want to call it, my attitude towards it, and this dates back to when we were linked with him, I think he deserves a chance, and I think he'll be an improvement on the Glazers, but I will hold him to account like I hold the Glazers to account. I'm not just going to sit here and just go, oh yeah, everything's wonderful, now we've got Jim Ratcliffe in. But I think he deserves at least the opportunity from me as a fan to show me what he's about. He said the right things, and some of these appointments look like the right appointments to me, and I think he deserves that opportunity and me to go, okay, let's see what you're about then. So I'm not going to sit here and go, is this, that and the other, I don't like him, I want rid. Why have we got him in? Well, why has he got involved in the club? Is a disaster already? Whatever. I think, sounds all right. Saying the right things. Meeting with Must, I thought was a positive step. Meeting with the fans for him. Even meeting the staff. Those little easy victories. Easy tap-ins for me. Do something that the Glazers never did that we wanted him to do.
Yeah, he's done more in terms of fan PR.
Yeah,
which is... and he's not even officially there yet.
No, he's not. It's not been ratified yet, which makes sense, yeah? It's an easy win, but it's still a win that he's achieved. This appointment makes sense. Again, I'm not going to get carried away, but yeah, so far so good. I think
it's certainly something to be optimistic about. And the people that are sort of naysayers about Sir Jim Ratcliffe will be the ones that are saying, well, you've got to give Ten Hag time. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to get behind the manager, why would you not get behind the new owner?
No, I agree completely.
And it's still like weird fixated bunch that have got Qatar flags beside at MUFC 2024.
Honestly.
And just still holding out for that. And I was like, just let it go, man.
You have got to let that go. I mean, we saw it the other day. There was a report that Sheikh Jassim, I think all the sort of numbers came out, or the report came out about the SEC filings, and I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to pretend that I'm some sort of financial expert, but the sort of short and long of it was, the club said when it came to the takeover, the attempted takeover, the partial takeover, or whatever you want to call it, that Sheikh Jassim, never proved or could show evidence that he had the money to back up his plans or his bid for Manchester United.
Yep.
Now, since then, we've heard reports that Sheikh Jassim's people pushing back on that and want a statement to come out from the club saying that's not true. And as far as I can see, the club aren't going to push back on that. They're saying, look, these are the SEC filings, these are the SEC filings, this is what was shown to us, and there was a lack of evidence there. So Jim Ratcliffe showed us that he had the money to do what he's done, and also he's paid the money to buy that 25%. He's put in 300 million quid of his own money into the club. Sheikh Jassim was going to build, a stadium, we were joking about it before, that according to some of the pictures we were seeing doing the rounds, which would have started in Cheetham Hill and finished in Odsal. It was like a stadium that was half the size of Manchester. He was going to buy us Mbappe. He was going to buy us, Osimhen, whoever, all the best players you can think of would have come to Old Trafford. It was going to be wonderful. But that's all well and good saying all those things, and a lot of people latched onto it because they wanted to hear. But unless you can prove it, then it's meaningless. Yeah. You're Michael Knighton 2.0.
Yeah, and even proving it at this stage that you were a credible investor, you've not got the club, so just shut up.
Yeah, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in what Sheikh. You may as well say, well, what if Sheikh Mansour had bought us? Or what if Roman Abramovich had bought us? Because, or Jack Walker? It's meaningless now because the guy didn't. He had his chance and he didn't. For whatever reason, whether he had the dough, whether he didn't want to get his pants pulled down, whatever, he's not the partial owner or owner of Manchester United. So Jim Ratcliffe is, and it's our job, or my feeling as a fan, to give him patience and time to see what he's about, back him to a certain degree, but also hold him to account as well. If I see him making moves that I don't agree with, then I will use the platform that I'm fortunate enough to have to call him out.
So if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is to get rid of Ten Hag, are you going to call him out on that?
If I don't agree with that decision.
Well, would you agree with that decision?
Right now, I wouldn't agree with sacking Ten Hag now. I've said this all along, and I said it about an hour ago, so I'm not going to change my tune. I think he deserves at least the end of the season, and we can see where we're at. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be productive to get rid of him beginning of the season. I also think, regardless of that, I think he deserves the end of this season.
Do you not, and I'm not going to turn this into another show where we discuss Ten Hag's future, because quite frankly, I'm bored of doing that, and I imagine people are watching it. But do you think that decision will be down to Ratcliffe, or will it be down to this new bloke? Berrada,
I think. Berrada.
He looks like he's something out of Football Factory.
Do you reckon?
I think he looks a
bit...
I
can see him with a bit of Stone Island on. Being the first wave as they take on West Ham. We don't know his exact start date. I was looking at the statement, and I think it was like Patrick Stewart's going to be the interim CEO. And I think it says Omar's start date I don't think I'm reading it, will be confirmed in due course. In the meantime, Patrick Stewart will continue as interim CEO. I feel like the manager decision has to be one that goes to the Berrada.
Right, yeah.
I can't imagine he comes in and they go, right, this is the manager we're going to hire now. We're getting rid of Ten Hag, we're bringing this guy in, without consulting him, without getting his approval. Because, like I said earlier, the reason that Ed Woodward was the most important person at the club for a spell was because he hired and fired the manager. So if you're choosing the manager, who is arguably the most important person there, then that makes you, by definition, slightly more important.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this guy now. If you're hiring and firing the manager, then that's, it makes you the most important person at the club, and that is probably the most vital decision you can make. Who is going to be the manager of this football club? You have to be involved in that. I can't imagine he's not.
Do you think that he'll be expecting the same sort of parameters that he worked under at Man City, at Manchester United?
I think he'll have more power at Manchester United. I don't think he was ever CEO at Man City. He was chief operating officer.
Well, sorry, yeah. Do you think the club? Do you think he'll be expecting the sort of club? So he'll have been basically walking around Man City with the it's pretty much like shopping with a limitless credit card, or whatever he wanted to do. Do you think he'll expect similar sort of wealth at Old Trafford? Are we going to have that?
I think we have to play by the rules of FFP. I think it'd be a mistake to try and circumnavigate him or do anything dodgy that may or may not have gone off at Manchester City.
Yeah.
So there's going to be limitations there. Also, we keep hearing this noise from Sir Jim Ratcliffe's people or whatever, or reports that we are going to start being a bit more sensible. So are we going to see us going after the Paul Pogbas and the Romelu Lukaku's and the Angel Di Maria type signings, or is it going to be more 40, 50 million pound signings, which is still a lot of money, but it's not quite the world record fee ones that we were getting involved in. So maybe he doesn't quite have that. But let's not forget, City for a long time as well did make signings, or have made a lot of signings that haven't been the very top end in terms of the fee. Jack Grealish aside, one of others.
No, they were average 50 million.
Like Bernardo Silva and Laporte and players like that. I'm trying to think of who else they've signed. There's loads. Like Alvarez was a bit of a snip, and I know they've brought, obviously, you look at the wages signed on fee for someone like Erling Haaland was massive. But even when they bought De Bruyne for like 50 million, everyone was questioning it.
I think, but that shows
a huge.
But that shows, doesn't it, Jay, that you don't need to spend that amount of money, and that's been the massive difference. And I know both you and I and many Manchester United fans who are of sane mind have always said it isn't down to the Glazers not spending money, it's how the Glazers are spending money that has massively been the problem. So I have no issue with sensible, because sensible is, I know what the fuck I'm doing, rather than going around and spending all your money going, oops, I've got a Lukaku for 90 million and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. Even to the point of, with Manchester City, they had a sort of a cohesive plan where this player will work under the next manager. When they had Pellegrini and they brought in Sterling and De Bruyne, they knew they were getting Pep. They knew those players work under him. At United, Jose wanted Lukaku, he wanted Sanchez. Ollie didn't, so he gets rid of him, or you stuck with him, or Ollie makes signings that the next manager doesn't want. And it's like you keep getting stuck with these signings because there's no plan where you go, okay, even look at Liverpool. Rodgers to Klopp made sense to me. That transition, not that dissimilar in styles, the way they play football. Just Klopp's a better version of Brendan Rodgers. A Brendan Rodgers team. We saw it at Swansea. We saw it to a certain degree at Liverpool under Brendan Rodgers. You look at Klopp, you saw it at Dortmund, you saw it at Liverpool. Yeah. It's like taking that style of football a step further and being better at it.
Yeah, similar teeth as well.
Yeah, okay. Whiter than white. So when you have someone like a Mo Salah, who apparently was a club target, it goes, okay, if you don't get Mo Salah, or if Klopp's a bit like on the fence with him, don't worry, we've scouted him, we know he works under your system, and he obviously does. There's been none of that forward thinking at Manchester United. I'm hoping that is what this guy can do. He can bring it in and go, okay, here's the manager, here's the structure, here's the strategy. This manager is our long-term plan. If it doesn't work out on this manager, we've got another long-term plan. These players fit a certain system. So if that manager has to go, we bring in another manager who works within this system. Also as well, just on the comments, Miss Man United, who's my better half, is in the chat.
Yeah.
She says, wow, just catching up. Where are you sleeping tonight, babe?
Oh.
It's not that, I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
it's just we've got a load of kids in our house. We've got no door on our room, so it's scant opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just catching up on the live now, we've set something called Scotty's Survey.
Scotty's Survey.
Producer Alexei.
Oh. Wow, I tell you what.
Jesus. I tell you what, ITV game shows are queuing up for you. Right, where I set a question to Jay every week and he's got to answer it by the end of the show and get involved. If you had to get rid of one out of football, music and sex out of your life from this day forward, which one would it be? And Jay's said, what did you say before?
I said, well, it's a choice between music and football because they're the only two things that
yeah, and it looks like he's definitely not getting any sex tonight. But yeah, it does look positive going forward. Will there be a director of football next then? Is that the next appointment? And is it the CEO? Is it going to be like, Sir Jim's got his man here? Is he going to be hiring the people below him now? Is that how it's going to work? And then this is the thing, this is why I think Ten Hag's days might be numbered, because it's going to be hiring, and it's...
Okay. Yeah, maybe. That makes sense that there's a director of football, there's a CEO, it feels like it's a bit like, I don't know where Brailsford fits in all this, but he's obviously a big part of it. Then the CEO, or probably that way around, then the director of football, then the manager. The only way I could see it still working with Ten Hag is if he shows enough between now and the end of the season where he go, okay, we think over the course of your time at United, you're someone we want to work with, and this can be successful. And B, if he's up for it, if he goes, okay, look, I can buy into this new structure, and I can be the coach, and you scout certain players, and I can have, as long as I've got a final say on certain things, I'm all right with that. Then it could work. It could work because let's not forget at Ajax, I think he had Overmars and he had Edwin van der Sar over him. They've
made a lot of the signings. That's the difference between what Ten Hag's got at Manchester United, where 100%. What he had at Ajax. What do you know about Dave? It's Dave Brailsford, isn't
it? yeah, it is.
Have you read any of his work?
Dave Brailsford?
Is it Dave Brailsford, is it?
Yeah.
Have you really?
No, what do you mean?
Like, he's got like books out and stuff like that, like mental training and...
Oh, right, sorry.
How to improve, and he's got something called the 1% theory.
Oh, marginal gains.
Yeah, so it's like, right, that was all his idea, and that's how he got the cycling team on. So it's like, instead of trying to improve everything by 10 or 100%, it's like making little tweaks here and there, and then that all adds together.
Yeah, no, listen, again, it makes sense. It sounds good to me. I'm not trying to be negative. It does sound like a positive move. I want to wait and see what happens, because I think there's two ways you look at it, right? I was thinking about this. You can look at it and go, and I've heard this argument, I've even made it myself, we're miles behind City, we're miles behind Liverpool, we're miles behind Arsenal. And you think, okay, the flip side to that argument is, we finished above Liverpool last season. We weren't that far behind them. We were finishing above them, we won a trophy. This time last season, they were in all sorts of trouble. Also, when you look at where City were when the money came in and the takeover happened, in 2008, they were getting beat 8-1 off Middlesbrough and finishing 11th in the league. And by 2012, they were the Premier League champions, beating Sir Alex Ferguson to the title. Like, within 3.5 years, or 4 years, they'd gone from
swinging
like bottom half of the table to the best team in the country.
Look at Newcastle, it's not like they've invested massively.
You can turn it around.
Last season particularly, not this season.
Quickly, if you've got a half-decent base, which I think we have, the right people in charge, and enough sort of latitude in terms of spending to bring in at least 2 or 3 top-level players.
You need the objective of people who want to have a successful football club. That's all it is. To have a successful football club, the people who are owning it and the people who are running it need to want it to be successful. Manchester United for nigh on, 17, 18 years, have had people who wanted the commercial side of it to be successful, and apparently by and large, for at least a large part of that time, it was. But United weren't, on the pitch, and that's why they sold out. And now we have a better chance because it seems, at least in my eyes, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, for his 25% and his money that he's putting in, wants United to be successful. That's what it feels like to me. He wants to have a legacy.
No, this is the thing, right? And I keep going back to it. We spoke to Kieran Maguire on Paddock about 2 years ago, and he was saying before anyone else was, look at Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He's a United fan. Forget that Chelsea bid. It's lip service to let everyone know I've got money and I'm buying a club. I'm here if you want me. And he's a United fan who would care about his legacy. I think he was 69 at the time. Obviously 71 now. If he came into United, I could see him trying to be the man that turned it around. That would be his legacy. Because let's face facts, right? Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Britain's richest man, done amazing things with petrochemicals in terms of you're in that world. He's going to be remembered for what he does at United. That is what he's going to be remembered for. All that other stuff will be secondary. United are one of the biggest sports brands, if you can use that term, in the world. What he does at United is how people will remember. If you Google Sir Jim Ratcliffe, it ain't going to come up what he achieved in the petrochemical world. It'll be what he's doing at United and what he's done at United. And he's not stupid. He's far from a stupid man. And he gives a bit of a toss. That's what I can see anyway. And that's how it looks. Also, in that statement, when we bought in the Berrada, I want to read this to you. This is the second paragraph in the statement. And don't forget, the Glazers are still majority shareholders. The club is determined to put football and performance on the pitch back at the heart of everything we do. Omar's appointment represents the first step on this journey.
Back.
You picked up on it, bro. Back. Yeah. They know Ineos and Brailsford and everyone else. That hasn't been the case. You know it. I know it. Obviously, they know it. Commercial success has been the barometer. Was it Ed Woodward who said, what we do on a football pitch doesn't matter, Omar? I think he said, I'm paraphrasing, he said, it was all about, we'll still sell shirts, we'll still bring in the commercial sponsorship deals. Now, the Glazers sort of knew that to do that, you have to have Champions League football to a certain degree. If you can get that helps.
You needed enough sort of publicity around the club. Just enough to get,
You need a player who's going to excite fans to buy the shirt.
Yeah.
So you bring in a Ronaldo, you try and get that Champions League football. There was never really that desire or that intelligence to make it happen in terms of getting a title, getting a Champions League win. Even FSG at Liverpool, who were very similar to the Glazers, not forget. FSG didn't go into Liverpool because they're all Scousers and they wanted to, they all had pictures of Ian Russell on the walls. No. They went into there to make money. That was a money-making exercise. Let's not forget when all the Super League thing was popping off. They were at the front of it as well as the Glazers. And everyone was, up in arms. They came in to make money. But they realised that you can make money, though the best way to make money out of a club is to make it successful. And to have a plan, have a strategy that sort of works towards those goals. So they brought in Jurgen Klopp, they backed him properly, and over the course of 7 or 8 years, whatever he's been there for, they've won a title, the Champions League, been to 2 more Champions League finals, won the FA Cup and League Cup. It's been a successful era for them. And it's helped them grow. And they're like United in a lot of ways as well. It pains me to say it about Liverpool. They're coming from a place of, they are, or they were, one of the biggest clubs in the world already, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Not as big as United, but on a similar scale. City
heritage.
Yeah, heritage, fan base. You've been there. You go away. I was over in the States, Australia. There's a lot of Liverpool fans there. They've got a global fan base. They've got big crowds. They've got history. They're from a footballing city that is obsessed with football, obviously, and they have a lot of fans there. City were coming from a place of their average attendance wasn't that great. They didn't have the global brand. Not a lot of people hadn't even heard of them. They had no history in terms of the top level history. I know they had an history. I'm not pretending they didn't, but they were
on the verge of going into administration before they actually left. Before they got promoted, if they don't get promoted back into the
this is
Premier
what I
League,
mean, man.
They were
like different levels, isn't it?
They were on the brink. So the turnaround from where they've come from is nowhere near. No, we're nowhere near that sort of depth as to where Manchester City fell. So therefore, we haven't got so much to climb from. And the position what Manchester United are in now, regardless of how you feel about Ten Hag or the football on the pitch, I think this is probably the lowest that United could go. For the size of the football club. Do you know what I mean? Like where we are now, like that's as close to relegation, I think, as we'll ever get.
Exactly.
Mid-table.
I'm just getting myself in deep trouble in these comments. Now, my missus is saying, I mentioned the fact we haven't got a door in our bedroom. We're on the 3rd floor. It's like open plan. So I've got some things going on there about now. My missus is saying, we can't afford a door. Mate, I'm just getting deeper and deeper. Do you know what I mean? Honestly.
I'll tell you what, Jay, Valentine's Day is coming up.
You know what? That's going to bankrupt me because I'm going to have to buy a lot for that.
Wicks.
Yeah, we have. It's an open plan. Like we're on the 3rd floor. There you go. Just put that. People are saying Mick Holohan says poor Jay. Yeah, honestly. Good to see Solo in there. Says big up Jay and Scotty. Long time. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, my brother. Brian Casey says. I know it shouldn't, but it bothers me that Motty and Scotty are sitting the wrong way round. I kind of get that, bro. I get a little bit like that. Scotty, you've been the most cynical man I've ever met. And I say that as a compliment because I like that about you. Are you getting optimistic with all this?
Yes.
Yeah?
Because I've been so pessimistic, so I can't get any more cynical.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Have you hit the cynicism
I think so.
bottom and then bounce back up? Or is it just a case of what you actually seen? Maybe it is both. Maybe it is as well. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. Maybe there is an element of, because we've used to so much shit, that when you see something that isn't shit, you get a little bit giddy with it.
Yeah. I think it's like the opposite of that Stone Roses lyric. I haven't seen such riches I could live with being poor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've seen so much shit that anything.
I can live with mediocrity.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that's where it is. Apathy certainly settled in this season, and a lot of people, especially on our channel, have been getting on. Why is Scotty so moody and miserable? And I was like thinking, I don't know if I'm falling out of love with my football club. I don't know if that's if that's possible. Do you know what I mean? But like, I've certainly gone. I can't be arsed with a headache with the investment that you put in each week, whether that's financial or emotional input and stuff. And then you come away and like, you bastards have just ruined my weekend again because you can't be arsed turning up. You know what I mean? It's like, and you can't really see any sort of any light at the end of the tunnel. But there is a lot of positivity with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I think we mentioned a few times when there was sort of like the head-off between Qatar and Sir Jim. I was more optimistic for Sir Jim to get the gig because I didn't want Manchester United to be state-owned. So there's that sort of romantic side. It feels nice, it feels quaint, it feels homely, doesn't it, to be owned by someone from Manchester who hopefully has the ambitions of being the phoenix to rise Manchester United once more for the Flames and maybe knock Liverpool off the perch that they're trying to climb back up, or knock them fraud bastards off the 115 FFP charges.
Let you finish your point and I will ask you about that.
And then so now it's like you have to be optimistic, because I don't think I could have any much more apathy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it does make sense. Also, Santa Knox says that's a James lyric. I don't know. I thought it was a Stone Roses lyric, but it's a James lyric, isn't it? What is it? Not both.
It's sit
down.
Yeah. If I didn't see such riches, I could live with being poor.
There is a similar.
Because when you said it, I thought Stone Roses, and he said that, I realised. Yeah. There's this 115 charges. There's added a little layer of intrigue to this.
Yeah.
Because the spin doctors have been in full effect here, where it's like, well, does this mean he's jumping a sinking ship, because he knows what's coming, and he's like, well, we're absolutely screwed. I'm getting out of here before I get nicked. Or is this he knows that he hasn't got a case to answer, or he hasn't got to worry about anything? Or is it a case of he weren't involved in that side of things anyway? Or, I'm adding lots of layers here. Is it United feel confident that City or that he's clean or that City clean? How do you look at this? Because it does add a little bit of intrigue to an already intriguing situation.
It certainly does. I mean, I can't remember too many Man City players that have come over from there to United, not in recent history anyway. I can't think of any. Ryan Giggs probably from the youth team.
I mean, honestly, in my lifetime, City to United and United to City, obviously Tevez left us and went to there, but his contract
and
was
there was
up.
Like Cole and Schmeichel and all that.
But it's via somewhere else.
I can't remember too many people that went over. But yeah,
Hargreaves.
But that was
Hargreaves went again. His contract ended. But I think Charlie McNeil for the youngsters is one, but he wasn't even in the academy. I think he was under 16.
So it's very rare you see either players moving across. Certainly I haven't seen any managers go between the two clubs. Not in my lifetime. So it's interesting. I'd like to sort of think of it as it's a coup for Manchester United to go over there and pinch someone from what are, as much as I hate to say, the most successful club at this moment in time in the country, to sort of get them, to take someone from them. I don't know how disappointed they'll be for that.
Well, a couple of people that I follow, City fans who I know, there's not many City fans that I'm pals with, but there's some that I did were kind of like, look, they weren't saying this is terrible or it's over, but they were a bit disappointed about it. They were like, look, that's a good move for United, that, and that's someone who's a good person to have at Manchester City and who's done well at Manchester City. So I don't want to see him going to them lot.
No.
Do you know what I mean? They weren't buzzing about it at all, which kind of made me think, all right, then there might be something in that where this guy's obviously, he has been part of City's success. No one's denying that.
The way I look at it,
you can because he's been there throughout the whole, I think for the last 10 years, whatever it is.
The way I look at it is and he wasn't CEO over there, but nevertheless, he's been there at Manchester City during their most successful career in the club's entire history, regardless of how the sort of the success has come about. So he'll have seen through his own eyes how that organisation is run. So therefore, he'll know how a successful modern football club should be run. I'm sure he'll bring his own ideas for that. And I'm not saying that we should emulate Manchester City, because I'm not going back to the David Moyes quote. But now it does seem a little bit that Manchester United, as an organisation, do need to look at Manchester City or Liverpool for the structure internally of the club. Not that we want to emulate them on the pitch. You know, I mean, we wouldn't mind that, to be honest, at the moment.
No, well, we can do in a way, don't we? We want to win the things they've won.
But at the time that David Moyes said it, it was just a ludicrous thing to do, because I don't think that the sort of rot had set in as much as it has now. So he knows what that organisation is run like. He knows the sort of names and heads that he wants, and the sort of like the scouting system and how everything's. And now he's going to have the opportunity to work. And don't forget, he's getting that's a promotion for him, and it's some hell of a promotion. I'm pretty sure he was on a pretty penny at Manchester City. But now, to be, again, like Sir Jim Ratcliffe, wanting to be at the forefront of taking Manchester United out of this shitstorm, quagmire, hellhole that we have, and that might be dramatic, but where we are in the team, in the league, is atrocious as far as I'm concerned, and be at the forefront to drag them back to the top. That's a huge amount of pressure, but you think like you want that, and he'll emulate where he thinks he can take success from Manchester City, and then bring it over to Old Trafford. So I'm positive, man, and that's not often you hear me say that, but I just because I'm sick of being negative.
No, listen, I hear you, bro. I do, and I think like you go back to the other thing of like, look, we've had a lot of rubbish to deal with, and people may look, you go, you spoiled brats, you United fans. You won a trophy last season, you're still in the Premier League. You could be Bury or whatever. I get it, but we're used to growing up watching great football, winning loads of things, and now we've sort of had 10 years of mediocrity, so we are a bit spoiled, and it's just the way it is. But now I look at it and go, okay, there's some little bit of light in the tunnel after a lot of problems, and a lot of those problems we've all spoke about stem from the Glazers' ownership and the lack of structure and the lack of strategy and all this other stuff that we're seeing in front of us. Looks like it's getting fixed.
Yeah.
So happy days. Before we wrap up, producer Alexei.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way you've got to look at it is, if we'd spent Ten Hag's 400 million properly, we'd probably be in a pretty good state right now. Because he has spent a lot of money. The issue isn't how much money he's had, it's who he spent it on. If we'd spent that money that he spent properly, like the way City do it, we'd be right up there now, I think. And it's small things like going for Alvarez when we could have gone for Alvarez. The subtle signings we don't do. But yeah, having somebody who actually knows about football is going to be very useful at a football club, funnily enough, I think.
Yeah, and I think you could attribute that to the predecessors to Ten Hag. If the money had been spent a lot more wisely under Van Gaal, Jose, Solskjaer, then they probably would have done better than they have. But again, all hypotheticals. Right, Jay, which one are you dumping? Sex, music, or football?
Well, listen, due to the fact we live in an open plan house and I'm on the 3rd floor, we might not have sex very often in our house anymore. We've got 3 kids running around, but I could never get rid of that.
Right, yeah. So which one are you getting rid of?
I'll get rid of... Now we're in a new era and we're going to win everything. I'm not getting rid of football. Okay. So, I'll get rid of music.
You're getting rid of music?
Yeah, man. Do you know what I mean? It's all gone downhill since Sinatra died. So... What about you?
I'd say I'm keeping music and the sex, because them two things have never given me a headache.
Wow, there you go.
I have a toxic relationship with one of them, and football would go, and my sex life and my tunes would stay. Alexa?
I'd get rid of football. I'm sick of it now.
All right, Right, I've been Scotty, and that's
just before we wrap up. Sorry, bro. Just to give you the poll results. Football, you have to get rid of one. Football was 30%, music was 39%, and sex was 31%. So music, people, I think considering that it's mainly Reds in it, I think there's a lot of people who've still got faith.
But why? So you're just going to go like a cappella with the sex?
Why do you sing when you're having sex?
No, I'm not talking about singing. I'm like the music in the background. It's not me that sings when I'm having sex. I've been Scotty, that's been Motty, producer Alexei. Make sure you're subscribing and liking, and we'll be back sometime in the future.